Now, you will have noticed in recent years that many people from Middle and Eastern Europe have come to Ireland to settle. In fact, it's not really a new phenomenon, because in the wake of the failed Hungarian Revolution in 1956, well, lots of refugees came from that country to establish new lives for them here. Amongst them was Maria Kellerman, who ultimately settled in Dublin with her husband, with whom she shared a great love of classical music. Well, in the years since then, Maria has shared that love of music and capacity in music with generations of Irish students, many of whom went on actually to become professional. Recently, Maria went back to Hungary on a musical tour with some of those Irish musicians.
In 1956, there was a popular uprising in Hungary. Elements of the Hungarian army sided with the people, but then Soviet forces invaded and the uprising was crushed. Thousands of Hungarians fled as refugees. Maria Kellerman was one of them. She was a 17-year-old music student. She was now stateless.
Belgium took 10,000 refugees, so I was one of them. And I studied there for 2 years, in Brussels first and then another year in Liège, and I got my diplomas from violin and viola.
What about marriage?
Oh, I met my husband there too.
Then she would have had no idea that nearly 50 years later she'd be returning to Hungary in triumph, bringing with her 49 young Irish musicians, and that Hungarian television would film the tour for a documentary.
I felt that I made the circle. I went away, I learned a lot, I went back and I showed them what I learned, so it was a very fine moment.
The Young European Strings School of Music, that's YES for short, uses the South Dublin Church Hall for practice.
Can I have this going out of tune? Can I have an A, William?
Every Saturday morning, Maria Kellerman and a small group of dedicated teachers are there to advise and encourage.
Ready? Can I have those pieces really together? And.
Maria believes that a very early start to musical education can bring rich rewards. She takes children when they're 2.5 or 3.
They get a head start. You see, when a child is 2.5-year-old, they have no other creativity in their life. They are completely open for new impressions. And I have the privilege to be the first teacher who is bringing the habits, the good habits, I hope, which the advantage of the one-to-one lesson, that it is completely formed to the character of the child.
In 1993, Maria literally put a group of her youngest musicians on the street. They busked to raise money for children orphaned in the war in Bosnia and made it onto the front page of the Irish Times. Alva Doherty was 5 then.
All I can remember is the freezing cold, the hats, the scarves, the numb fingers trying to belt out a few Christmas carols, and we were all so young we could hardly play. I think we'd only just started it a few months and we were just trying to screech them out.
Maria Kellerman's concern for children orphaned and displaced by war was fuelled by her own early life. Her father was killed in a concentration camp. Towards the end of the war, she was taken from her mother by the SS and only reunited with her at its end. She was 5.
Because it was winter, I put everything on which was warm. I remember putting on all the pullovers which I had because I knew I wouldn't be able to go and carry anything. So I remember 2 pullovers on top of each other, and then absolute blank. And then the moment when my mother found me, I have no idea of the 5 months in between. I can't tell you.
What effect has that had on your later life?
A total fright of parting with my beloveds. So my daughter has to call me every night. She knows why, because if I don't know where she is, then I go in a panic.
That early busking is repeated by young musicians from the school coming up to Christmas each year, still raising money for charity. It was that 1993 outing that marked the beginning of the very young children playing together.
Now, play properly. You can do that perfectly. 1, 2.
That's Isabel Doyle on the left and her twin Emily Jane on the right. They make the point that they're 5 3/4.
Better. I think you can do better than that.
In all, there are 4 orchestras in the school. For beginners, there's the Tots. After that, the junior orchestra. Then this one, the intermediate. And finally, the chamber orchestra for advanced students. Maria opened the school when she arrived in Ireland with her husband in 1988. She teaches what she calls the Irish-Hungarian style of playing.
And
to play any instrument well takes long hours of practice at home, and that can be difficult. Johnny and Luke Kyo-Roach are 9 and 7. David Tobin is 10. Gina McGuinness is 18.
I have to get up at 6:30 for my lesson on Monday mornings, and I have to get up at 7 all the mornings except Sunday morning.
How much practice do you do?
About an hour sometimes.
A lot of little girls of 5 3/4 wouldn't practice as long as that. Why do you practice as long as that?
Because our mummy gets mad with us.
I practice an hour and a half of violin and half an hour of piano.
I do generally maybe 4 hours, maybe 5 hours, but it really depends of if something's coming up, like a concert or masterclass or anything like that, then you have to push up the practice time. Then it's maybe 6 hours.
Certainly, being in the orchestra has some advantages.
You get to make new friends. My mom sometimes pays me, and that's really good.
If that's AA there, Killian, will that be open or will that be fourth finger?
For the parents, there's a sacrifice too, of their time. Susan White has 4 children in the school. Killian is her youngest, and at 5 1/2, he knows what he wants to be.
Or electric guitarist.
Well, should you not switch then from the violin to the electric guitar now?
Because I don't know, because I don't have one. But I'm getting one for Christmas.
E-flat, play the E-flat.
Maria's husband, Ronald Mason, works with the senior orchestra, the chamber orchestra. So the music school has become something of a family affair.
Well, she is incredibly perseverant, and she won't stop until she gets what she needs and what she wants. And she's a very tough lady, and she's known for that. And everybody is touched with that, and therefore also the results that she gets with the young kids is, you know, it shows up after so many years.
Working like this with children involves major dedication and a major outpouring of energy. But Maria says she's happy to do it.
Everybody would like to go and leave something behind. And for me, leaving something behind is the experience which I accumulated, and I'm able now to go and put it and filter it through to my students in the hope that maybe 20%, 50%, who knows, maybe 90% of me stays over when I'm dead.
Nearly a third of the children who pass through Maria's school go on to become professional musicians. Perhaps that says all that has to be said about her achievements.
And if you'd like to hear more of the orchestra's music, you can catch up with them in the National Concert Hall next month, in fact on the 29th of January.